Hello, yet again. Cathar Love number 92. Cathar Sacred Secrets number 2, part B. The follow-on. Be as it may. Catharism, because of its inherent mysticism, because contrary to religions, where each religion has its doctrine, which is set in cement or stone, and they don't like to make too many changes, and also there are things that go back thousands of years, and they were created in those times, and they were religions for those times, and yet people still adhere to them, and people love their religions. 95% of the world belong to one religion or another, usually the one they're born in, and they're basically told how they live their lives, how they should think and how they should act, and that's fair enough, and so many people like that. And here comes Catharism, which is virtually no rituals, no temples, no churches, no mosques, and you're told to think for yourself. Apart from that, seek out the mystical and spiritual side of life. So it ends up that each person's out on their own individual personal journey. So the consequence is that your journey is not going to be the same as mine, and mine is not going to be the same as hers, and so on. It's also because of one of its major pillars of belief or action or examination is reincarnation. Catharism can't exist without reincarnation. Catharism can't exist without this knowledge of the spirit world and the spirits. Now, to many of those of a religious background, we're talking of demons and devil and so forth. Well, there again, to the Cathars, there's no demons and there's no devils. There's no judgment, there's no salvation, there's no damnation. But we have beliefs, philosophical beliefs, but they're certainly not judgmental. And those beliefs, even though they're of a mystical nature, and being mystical in itself makes it secretive. You know, if you're into, we'll say, one aspect of the spiritual or mystical side, the paranormal, the metaphysical, is channeling, where some people have another entity take over their body and speak through them and give advice, some spirit. So many of you are aware of that, and this is not something you wander around the street telling everybody that you either channel or you follow some channeler or you are a channeler yourself. If you have a medium, and I met a good one a couple of days ago, a spirit medium who sees the dead and there with you when you're with her or him. There's your family, there's your guides, they're seeing them, they're in the room, they're alongside you, they're behind you, standing behind you, as my father was the other day. As I get older, we're looking more and more the same. And as described by the spirit medium. So this is also secretive. It's not secretive because you want to keep it secret. You like to spread the good news that that in the world of spirit, the things that happen and in relation to us is all good. But it's not. If you walk down the street, they'd probably lock you up in some areas. Again, Catharism is a belief in yourself, a philosophy of the individual, because Catharism is simply, it's about me, it's about you, it's very, very much at a personal level, and it's for you to become enlightened, to perfect yourself, to become a better human being, or as they call themselves, the Cathars, a good man or a good woman, bon homme, bonne femme. And that's how they regarded themselves, as simply good people. And in those days, they regarded themselves as good Christians. But today, Catharism is a Catharism for a different age. If anything, it's cosmic. I mean, if the man from Mars or Pluto, or what I'm saying is, if an alien was to arrive, he would feel quite at home with the philosophy of Catharism, which is simply goodness, goodness to yourself, goodness to everybody else, and I feel he would be quite, or she, or it, would be quite at home within the Cathar philosophy, whereas I feel they'd be scratching their head if they looked at the Abrahamic faiths, Islam, Christianity, and the Judaism, and what they're doing to each other, and how they've treated each other over the years. So, in that respect, Catharism has a clean slate. It simply did not persecute anybody. It was persecuted, it was wiped out, in fact, but it was never the persecutor. It simply just wanted to have their people live loving lives, and also understand the beauty of themselves, their own body, its own bodily functions, the beauty of nature, the beauty of the environment, the beauty of animals. In fact, they were environmentalists. They weren't into children. They believed that it's you are the person, you've got to get your if you can get your act together, the world is that much better. Now, obviously, people have children, and they had children, but they weren't into what you call trying to populate the earth, go out and multiply. That was not the Cathar idea. And as it is with some groups, someone was saying that some Christianity, Islam, and some Jewish groups are out to, gain adherence to their faith through procreation, because the bigger the families they have, the more Catholics will be, or Jews, or Muslims, or whatever. So, in that respect, we're a bit of a dead loss, because the Cathars are the other way around. We're trying to depopulate the world, have less people in the world, and protect the environment. But secretive. Well, I had the good fortune to meet this spirit medium, and I only saw her because she was a spirit medium. There are other people who are psychics and all forms of different, and I'm not denigrating them in any way, but I've had my best results with people who are spirit mediums. And the one that I used to go to, and who was wonderful, Susie, has just dropped out of the scene. I hope she hasn't had a heart attack, and that's the reason why she's dropped out, but I can't contact her. So anyway, I've found this other person. I was only with her for half an hour, but it went something like this. I sat down, and she said, I see spirits all around you. She said, okay. She said, you're a dancer. She said, you're a ballroom dancer. She said, you don't take medicine. I said, no. I said, dancing's my medicine. While I can dance, I know things are pretty good. And when you're dancing full on, and you can walk off the floor and your heart's not going bap, 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 I know my heart's going okay. So that's my doctor. If things started to change there, I would possibly go and seek medical help, but at the moment I just keep away from them. And she went on and she just said, your brother's died, and she said, your sister, she said, is not well, and she described the situation that she had at the moment, which was correct. And then she said, there's this other guy. He's very, very solid, around about your size, maybe a bit taller, very, very funny guy. And of course I knew who she meant. It was my friend Bob, who actually introduced me first to guides. And she said, just a message from you from the spirit world. Well done. So, okay. And she said, any questions? I said, not really. I said, although I'm thinking of starting a blog as well as a website, and just to... so I'm just thinking about that. Oh, she said, I see expansion. So, and she went on. But she was spot on. And she said, look, I'm just conveying what the spirits say to you. Now, my partner, Monica, went, and I've been to spirit medium sessions many, many times, but this was her first. And she spoke about her mother and the woman who looked after her, because her grandmother looked after her mainly, and how her mother didn't want to go, didn't want to die, but her grandmother was, because she had lung problems, and she couldn't breathe and so forth. And this was in China, and she just wanted to go. She wanted to, but there was a grandmother who she spent a lot of time with, and she went through her family and so forth. And she was just, her guides were just telling her about my partner's family and the situation and how things are going for them now and whatever. So, and she was, everything she said was spot on, even about her sister and her sister's boyfriend and his love of motorbikes, and even down to that level. But again, it's spot on. You can't guess this. Now, why I feel this is so good, is because you're dealing with the world of spirit, and it shows you they are there with us. There's just a curtain dividing us from our world, from their world. Thankfully, there are people who can part aside that curtain and can who can communicate with the spirit and gain messages back from them. But the thing is, at no time is anyone burning for eternity. At no time in all the sessions I've ever been at has anyone been punished. At no time is there any nastiness, and in that respect there's no judgment. So this falls very, very, very much in line with Catharism, the fact there is no judgment, and there's no salvation, no damnation. The spirits are there, they're in another world, it's got good things, and they have to still study and still move on and so forth. So things are moving there just as they are here. They're two states of being. But what I feel wonderful about that is that it has a tremendous calming effect upon the person, because for me, I can be here yakking on and telling you about the spirits and mediums and so forth. But when you actually meet a good medium who describes your family, your relations, and all the rest of it, and they are specific, and they know how they tell you how they died or what's happened and so forth, and it's very specific. You suddenly, all this business about damnation and hellfire and fire and brimstone, all this just dissipates and goes out. In your mind already you could have thrown it out, but the fact that you've actually been there, and the spirit, this medium is describing these people, now you don't have to believe, because now you know. And Gnosticism is about, and Catharism especially, is about knowing, not belief, knowing. You don't have to believe it, because you know this is what it is, and the end result of that is that you get peace of mind. So, because Catharism is so tied up with mysticism, meditation, going inwards instead of outwards, your personal journey, it has no choice but to be secretive. Because a lot of these things is not stuff that you go around and just talk. You're sitting in the bus to someone, or you meet someone, or even a friend. They're not things you even tell a lot of your friends, because a lot of your friends will go, "Oh, don't be ridiculous. A lot of what I do, I love you." So you know you wouldn't even speak about it. So just by its very nature, Catharism has a secret aspect to it. The other thing is, and it's a good thing, you can destroy a church, you can destroy a temple, you can destroy a home. But it's very hard to destroy an inner belief. It's very hard to destroy an inner belief that's secret. So you could be a Cathar, as are many, and who are moving towards this or moving back. Maybe they were Cathars previously. But it's something that you can keep to yourself. No one else need ever know. When the census comes around, you can write down Cathar if you want to. You don't have to. Who cares? It's simply up to you. So it's your own personal deep secret. So Catharism lends itself to this. There is a ritual. It is secret, but it's more that is unknown rather than secret. And I don't know its actual name, but we'll call it the ritual of the olives. Because what actually happened was, Henri Neubau's, this dead perfecti, so I'm letting out this little secret, I have mentioned it before, and he told my friend Jim, Guillaume de Mirepoix, to lay down on the carpet. So he laid down and put a cushion under his head. He closed his eyes, and Henri said, "No, I want you to keep your eyes open so you can describe to Matthias, me, Johnny, what's going on. Because this will also happen to him one day." Well, it hasn't happened yet. I'm looking forward to it still. And what he did was he took 1 dozen fresh olives, and he peeled them from the seed, put them in some muslin or silk, cotton, whatever, and he squeezed it until he had some olive oil come out of the cloth. Now with that olive oil, there was 2 Cathar women at his feet and 2 Cathar women just either side of his head. And what they did was, with that olive oil, that fresh olive oil, they kneaded his temples, those 2 Cathar women, and 2 other Cathar women massaged the soles of his feet with the olive oil. This took about half an hour, and then what happens, they swapped positions, and the 2 at the feet massaged the temple, and so forth. And the whole called ritual took an hour. But the thing about that was that it made an amazing, my friend Jim Guillaume Mirepoix, his dialogues in the Cathar dialogues, it's the same person, my book. He felt these amazing changes come over him. He felt completely at ease with reincarnation, with which he wasn't before. He felt he was more psychic, had more insight into what was going on. But apart from that, it gave him much greater inner peace and inner tranquility. So this is a secret Cathar ritual. It's not something that they let everybody know about. And in fact, in every book that I've ever read about Catharism, I've never heard of that particular ritual. They all talk about the consolamentum and so forth, which is very public. But this other ritual, a secret ritual, is carried out by in the presence of a perfecti, a male perfecti, but it's actually carried out by 4 Cathar women. So that ritual is important, and so it's no longer secret if I'm listening to it and you believe me and I'm telling you now. So Catharism there's a natural secrecy to it because of its mysticism, its it's because once you become involved in Catharism, you start to move down that path. Transcendental. Once you take that first step of transformation, your transformation is for you to be a better person, to be a good person, and you intentionally move. So I'm going to move down that Cathar path, and wherever it takes me. From that point onwards, transcendental things will happen to you. Just by chance meeting that spirit medium the other day, it was a transcendental experience. It was a paranormal, a metaphysical experience. It's not your ordinary, everyday experience. And since then, other things have happened. And things that have happened, which I will discuss in the future, but they're very much to do with Montsegur and things that are happening over there. But things just arrive. And the other thing is that I need to say that there are times when you think nothing is happening. It's like you're treading water. You may have those feelings, but there can be major changes and major energies which are going to change your life happening at that time, but of course you don't feel it. So Catharism is the complete opposite to religions, because religions simply tell you how to think, how to live your lives, and how to stay within the boundaries and the confines of that religion. And that's fair enough. And so many people need that. Catharism is the opposite. It liberates you. You're out. You're on your own. You head down this path, and then later, then you explore this path. But you're exploring the unknown. You're going inward to yourself rather than going outward to materialism. You're going inward to find yourself, to discover yourself, to examine your own life. And so there's this mystic aspect to Catharism, which means so much of it will always be secret, because some of the things that will happen to you, you just can't go around. You just have to keep a secret, because you can't go around, because people will be looking at you in a very strange way if you sometimes talk about these things, because they're not the normal. They're paranormal. They're metaphysical. And for that just reason alone, but even they're all still sacred. And to you, they're sacred secrets. On that, I'll leave you for now. I hope you have had a enjoyable festive season. Christmas is just gone. Bye for now.